Hi, my loves. It's been a little bit since I've done a video, but I feel really called to do a video today. And it's about working with Hera. She's the wife of Zeus. And we can work with Hera to heal our ways that we self-sabotage and are in self-denial. And so just to kind of give you a background, not everybody knows about Hera, the goddess. She was Zeus's wife, and she was tricked into marrying Zeus against her will. She did not want to marry Zeus, and Zeus was her brother and became the queen of the gods and goddesses. And Zeus was really interested in philandering and being with other women and having children outside their marriage, and this made Hera very jealous, and she was very reactive and revengeful. And she was the goddess that Hercules did his 12 feats for, to win her favor. And every step of the way, she tried to sabotage him. And she kind of came into my awareness recently. I was experiencing a woman that was trying to sabotage me, and I was kind of seeing it, and she came into my awareness and has been my teacher on the ways that I'm already self-sabotaging. And my philosophy is that there's nothing outside of myself that's not already happening inside myself. So if I'm experiencing someone out there that's sabotaging or betraying or being unloving, there is an aspect within myself that's doing something similar. So I knew it was time to go within. And through the help of Hera, I was able to see those aspects of myself and learn, one, to forgive the ways that I self-sabotage and the ways that I'm in delusion around certain situations. And particularly self-delusion is a difficult one. Like, particularly those that have had trauma in their past, the delusions help us get through difficult situations that we lie to ourselves so that we can keep a good mind space or be positive about our situation, so we can get out of the situation. And it's supposed to be a temporary thing, but it's complicated and it's difficult to get out. So oftentimes we need help. We need help to see the ways that we are in delusion about certain situations. And oftentimes the delusion is a painful delusion. Like, we don't lie to ourselves about good things. We usually lie about difficult things that have happened. And it takes a lot of like self-compassion to be able to work through those. So, but I'm going to channel a message from Hera, and I'm also explain, like, if you're wanting to work with her, how to invoke that energy, how to invite her to come work with you and help you with whatever it is, a self-sabotage, I want to say it's self-betrayal too. Like, I kind of want to put self-betrayal in there too. And definitely the ways that we're in delusion about certain situations in our life. I think the most important thing though is like to remember to be soft and gentle with yourself as you're kind of going through like these, like working with these denser energies around our psyches, you know, and remember that there's purpose in it. Like, so be gentle with yourself, or remember that there's purpose and why your psyche created these situations, why you have this aspect of yourself that, you know, would create it. Nobody self-sabotages on purpose like that. That doesn't make sense, you know, like biologically or energetically, it just doesn't make sense. But sometimes we self-sabotage because in the past we got some sort of reward for it. An eagle just flew over. And so be gentle as these things are coming up, and be compassionate, and be very loving if you can to these parts that are kind of coming to the surface to be released. We're in this like huge like purge and energetic shift, which is why I felt like it was so important to get this video up today. But let me go ahead and go into the channel, and then I'll give you some pointers on how to work with these energies yourself. It's very simple. But like I said, it can be very transformative. It can really allow for us to see things clearer, particularly if you're already intuitive, like to see things clearer for not only for yourself but others in your work. So I highly recommend working with her. As with some of the denser energies, it's like when I'm presented with the opportunity of working with her, I wasn't super excited, but I feel very grateful for the experience now, like I do with most of the spirits that request to work with me. But it's not an easy road, you know. It's not love and light, everything's perfect. It's getting into those darker parts of yourself and really looking at yourself and taking accountability, and then forgiving yourself for the ways that that we are in delusion, the ways that we are in self-sacrifice, the ways that we are in self-betrayal. Like these things that we do to ourselves is very painful. And it comes from, so all these things also come from not feeling lovable. So that's like the underlying trait that's like underneath that, is these are the ways that we feel that we're unworthy or unlovable. So like that's an underlying thing that you'll get to as the next phase of it. But we have to get to the first layer, and then we'll get to the second layer. So, but just be aware that these are all traits of not feeling loved, or not getting the love that you needed in the ways that you needed growing up. You know, so it's childhood wounding, which like is most of the ways that these defense mechanisms, I'd call it a defense mechanism. So let me go ahead and get into that channeling just a second. So Hera's coming through, and she's saying that she's very grateful to be able to have this time to talk to you personally and connect with you, and that she is so honored to be able to help other women recognize the ways that they're not in alignment of their full power, and they're not in alignment with the universal love that's available for them. And she's saying she's particularly works with women or feminine energies because that's like what she relates with, and that she's saying that she's helping clear the feminine archetype of like more toxic traits, of traits that like society, she says that society had forced on her personally, and that she had an experience like on an archetypal level. And she wants to help those that like have suffered similar instances where the society forced these traits on them, and they're reacting according to these false beliefs or false templatings around who women are in general. She says she feels honored because she's such like, she also feels like she's like, interesting, she's feeling unworthy because of all the other great goddesses out there that are doing all these amazing things, that she feels like she has this little tiny role to play. But she's grateful to be getting our attention today, and she says she's grateful that I'm taking the time to expose the lies that she's saying the patriarchy has placed on women, and the ways that the patriarchy has tried to hold women down and hold them, or put them in a box and tell them that this is who they are. And when in reality, she says that like that women are far more than that. And she's saying that she knew that playing the archetype would eventually allow for great healing, but at the same time she feels like she's done a lot of harm, and that she feels regret and guilt around the ways that she also hurt the patriarchy, that she hurt men, the ways that she wanted to punish men, the ways that she did punish men for the trauma that happened to her, and that she feels a lot of regret in that, and that she feels like the work with women now is her way of making amends for the ways that she's hurt men in the past, and women too. But she says mostly men. She says like this work is like it's great to have self-awareness, but the work really begins in the self-forgiveness, and to have compassionate with the ways that that we're not always in alignment with the highest good for everyone involved, that we're not always in alignment with our soul aspects. And she says that's okay, like that's why we're having human experiences, and for us to like drop into our womb space to remember who we really are. She's also saying like always follow your heart will never lie to you. And she says like when we come from the womb space and our heart space, then it helps us become more in alignment with what the Great Mother wants for us. And she's saying like the Great Mother is like at this space and time where the Great Mother is calling us home to her bosom, and so that she can hold us and love us and care for us. And she wants each and every human to be able to experience the love of the Great Mother. That's her deepest wish for humanity at this time. She's saying like, if women could remember that they are a reflection of the Great Mother, and that their every action is a reflection of the Great Mother's love, that her humanity could be healed in leaps and bounds. And so for us to try and go back to that space, to go into that understanding, into that awareness, into that deepening of our womb space, will allow for us to have the unconditionally loving experiences that we desire out in the world. But we have to come back to ourselves, back to our womb spaces to heal this. She says that she's willing to work with any person that feels guided to work with her. She says that, after we finish the channeling, she says that to follow the instructions that I'm going to give so that you can work with her too. And she says one of the most important lessons that she can teach, and for you to remember before you start, is to listen to your own intuition, that she works through your own intuition. And so for you to follow that guidance. She says she's honored to have worked with me and helped me heal the wounding that I had around essentially not feeling lovable, not feeling worthy of great love. And that these tendencies or characteristics that come out of that, the self-sabotage, the self-betrayal, the ways that we're in self-delusion, that those are mitigating factors that allow for us to heal that unlivable or the unlovable parts. She just wants to let you know that she loves each and every one of you that's listening to this message. She's saying that she is working really hard to help humanity heal. And again, she's just saying too that she's feeling regretful for the ways that she hurt others. And she definitely wants to be assistant so that we don't have to be in that space anymore. So I'm going to thank her and honor her and let her go back to doing her work. And we will finish up this recording by talking about how can we work with her. And it's so simple. Like, she's been one of the easiest guides to work with for me, like to get her favor. I didn't really have to do that much, which is awesome, because sometimes they want you to prove themselves that you are dedicated to working with them. But I didn't have that with Hera. Hera had requested an orange or yellow candle, and for me to light that every day for a week, which is what I did. And then once I lit that candle, then I spent 10 or 15 minutes in meditation, and I asked her to show me the ways that I was in self-delusion, and the ways that I was self-sabotaging, and the ways that I was betraying myself. And then I would sit in meditation for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I would go to sleep. And then it was in the dream time that she would show me and take me through so that I could see those parts. I would wake up from my dream, and I would write the dream down, and I would forgive myself for those ways. And I would forgive those that I hurt. And if there is a way that I could make amends, I made amends. I also during this process reached out to a couple people that I didn't realize that I had hurt, and asked for forgiveness. And all of the people I reached out to were open to offering the forgiveness for me. But if they aren't, that doesn't matter. Like, all we can do is like reach out, and just reach out to those that you feel called. It's, like, I didn't reach out to everybody, but those that I felt like that was important, I reached out to them. And then as we kind of make those amends, and as we move forward, we can kind of see how maybe it's a pattern, like an unknowing pattern, and ask for those patterns to be healed. And then you get to a certain point where you realize the door on that part of our lives is closing, that the more that we are compassionate and forgiving of ourselves, the more that we're not going to continue those patterns anymore. And it doesn't make sense to continue those patterns, because we brought awareness, we brought compassion, we brought grace to those spaces. So it's going to be something that's not continued. But be in those moments. And there was a lot of moments where I had to grieve. I had to grieve parts of myself that couldn't continue on. And, our soul wants to be forgiven, self-forgiven. Our soul wants to be able to move forward. And so there will be some grieving and sadness and tears around those situations, and we just need to be with those. And so try and hold space for yourself. You can reach out to others, but this process, I really feel, is more about being with yourself, being in the quietness of yourself, and like being in those like aspects of yourself that are hidden. You're bringing awareness to hidden aspects. And because this patterning was something that was like expressed or impressed on us from the outside. I really feel like this is an internal self process. And I've shared a little bit of what I'm doing, but I haven't had that much support around this because it's a difficult process for other people too. So keep that in mind, that if you do reach out for support and you're not getting it, it's because it's kind of a tender process for a lot of people and something that's like hard for them to look at too. So keep that in mind. And but again, it's an internal process, so it might be something that you might choose to do on your own. And then after the week was over, I was guided to keep the candle on, to continue lighting the candle when I was working through, when I was processing through, when things were coming up for me. So I didn't do it every day. I did it probably maybe every few days or whatever. Stuff would come up and I would light the candle and invoke her spirit to guide me and comfort me and allow for me to move through this remaining process. And now we're at the tail end of it and getting ready to say our goodbyes. Although I know that she'll always be with me to help support me and guide me through whatever the next phase is that comes up in the future. But allow your heart to feel the gratefulness of working through something really difficult. Like, I really feel it's important to celebrate the successes when they happen because there's so many difficult times. So remember to celebrate your success. Remember how hard it is to work through these difficult, denser energies, and know that you're being successful. I send you all my love. If you need support through this, I do one-on-one readings. I'll include my email below. Feel free to email me and you can request a session. But I'm sending all my love, and I'm so grateful that you are choosing to do this work. It's such hard work. So I commend you up front for even allowing yourself to have the awareness that this is happening within yourself. And stay steady, stay strong, and know that the universe is supporting you every step of the way. All my love.